Vect is the supreme overlord of Commoragh, which was once one of the main hubs for the aeldari to step out into the galaxy. And Commoragh is still growing in terms of the realms it's taking control of within the webway. So how does Vect maintain control of those sub-realms, pockets in the webway linked to his own dominion? Which dark aeldari live in the webway and are for the moment beyond his reach in freeports? What artificial world is trapped in the webway? And if the Dark City fell, what plan does Vect have to deal with that? Where would he go? Let's begin. To expand his dominion, Vect triggered hidden portals that link each satellite realm of the webway to be revealed, forcing them open, and then he built great gates, huge edifices that are permanently guarded by Vect's elite garrisons. Then, over several millennia of violent strife, Commoragh expands into these once independent regions until they become integral to the Dark City. Resistance was mixed. Some capitulated, thinking themselves able to buy their safety at the price of their freedom. Some realms were so racked with their own internal dissension and disasters that they at first welcomed their invaders as saviours. Many sub-realms were found to be already dead, their inhabitants killed in the fall of the aeldari or the privations that followed after it. As time passes, the dark hand and will of Vect stretched out across the webway, seizing land, to put it in a more traditional way. The conquered satellite realms were slaved to Commoragh, their gates locked permanently open, only to allow the Eternal City to plunder their contents at will, to the point that Commoragh can be seen as a loose collection of far-flung nodes spread across the passageways of the webway. Those at the far fringes of Commoragh appeared most readily afflicted by the medium surrounding it, the limitless energies of the warp, breeding strange, but for all its dominance, there are other ports in the webway, freeports if you will. The first is a place those trying to escape Vect can reside in, called aeldari. As you enter its interspace, dozens of webway passages intersected, forming a near globular arrangement, more than 3 times the size of a latex's largest domes. The settlement that had grown up on the interspace looked like an inverted city, spires rising up from the artificial field walls that kept the interspace together, pointing towards a glowing false sun at the centre. Bridges and concourses crisscrossed aeldari, forming a maze of quays and walkways, arcing over and looping around the turrets and towers that soared like gigantic stalactites. Lights of every hue shone from slender windows, and guiding lanterns blinked red and blue to form rainbow causeways between the labyrinth structures. A craft world had landing protocols, and the guiding hand of its infinity circuit to steer an arriving ship to its correct berth. aeldari was a free-for-all of ships coming and going, steering about each other on seemingly random courses. Small skyrunners cut past stately liners, whilst silver-hulled sky barges floated serenely from tower to tower. In the low reaches, the lower depths of the city, you can find Commorans with immense battleships marked with tiger stripes of black and purple. But they are not the only type of aeldari. There are all kinds: rangers, corsairs, Commorans, traders from the craft worlds, harlequins and white seers. The other free port is called the Nexus of Shadows, which sits atop a vast artificial planetoid trapped in the webway, and has become a centre for trade between dozens of Xenos races and dark aeldari themselves. The Nexus of Shadows is a dark and dangerous artificial world, the dark aeldari controlled and partially developed, and populated with some of the worst Xenos to ever crawl out of the expanse. In the years since Selene Morn discovered its location, hidden within the webway, and then in alliance with Archon Cool, seized and settled it, the city has festered and grown into a common port for the dark aeldari and those who trade within them. As a base, it provides an excellent and well-hidden locale to raid the nearby areas, and whilst its place within the webway gives it access to hundreds more worlds scattered across the Segmentum Obscurus and beyond, while rogue traders who listen carefully can hear the rumours of the existence of the Nexus of Shadows at many ports across the Cronus expanse, and even in some places within the Calixis sector. Its actual location is a closely guarded secret, which makes sense if it's somewhere Vect would want to seize for power. Even those Xenos that trade with the Dark Eldar must be guided to its location by the city's scouts through the shattered and perilous twists and turns of the webway. The Galen sphere upon which the Nexus of Shadows was built is an ancient relic of a long-forgotten age of technology. The size of a small moon, covered with towers and antennae, the sphere was crafted around a solid core, the remnants of some mineral-rich asteroid. That its automated systems are slowly eroding away as it adds more and more levels. Abandoned for untold ages, the sphere could have drifted through a web gateway or even been drawn towards one by the ancient programs and protocols of its cogitators, seeking to study a breach in the webway that it perceived as a celestial phenomenon. With the term cogitators, I'd say this must have been built by the Imperium at some point, Mechanicus perhaps. Alternatively, it is possible that some unknown force moved it into the webway for some inscrutable purpose. We do in some other Dark Eldari lore see them being able to move planets into the webway and suns, so that's most likely how it got there. Then it drifted till it was tapped into by alien power fields. It was Selene Morn and her cabal that first rediscovered the Galen sphere and decided to put it to use. After being exiled from Commoragh, the Archon spent years wandering the webway with her fleet, raiding worlds and looking for a place to claim as her own. The sphere, with its well-hidden location and ancient tech, presented the perfect place for a new home to be founded. She forged an alliance with Cool and his cabal of the Splintered Talon. To do this together, they purged the city of its ancient human defences, destroying that which they could not control and sealing away areas that they could not inhabit. Almost immediately after the arrival of the Dark Eldar and its establishment as a port, the Nexus began to operate as a hub for trade and a base for raiding. Now Vect has plans for Commoragh under his leadership, and also to deal with the situation if it ever fell. It would not be the end for him. This dude has plans within plans. A disjunction is one way that Commoragh could be hurt. A disjunction is when energy that makes the warp mixes or cocktails with the webway itself, and it creates a breach in the webway through which demons of the warp can enter the Dark City. Now Vect has plans for this. He has warded his city, but it doesn't hold the forces of chaos back for long. So say happens and Vect can't stop it. What would he do? Whilst his rivals would scramble to salvage the remnants of their once glorious holdings, Vect has already established a place to go to, populating the ruins of ancient port cities and turning them into sprawling fortresses. He could offer a safe haven to those who sought his protection, at a price of course, and prepared for his long campaigns of counterattack. Another such place is beneath Commoragh. Should a major disjunction happen, a place called Neo-Commoragh, an exclusive sub-realm that Vect has created as a shelter against the coming cataclysm. Rumours of it are whispered in boudoirs and bordellos across the Dark City. And if you like this video on the Dark Eldari, why not try this one too?